Thank you, Sushma, for that lovely film. To start with, when you watch the film, there are, of course, a few strands that sort of come out right away. There is, this whole conversation around Shankar Nag, the connection that auto drivers feel with Shankar Nag. There is the whole anxiety about, Bangalore sort of becoming something that's new, something that wasn't earlier. This whole thing of sweet memories, of Bangalore in a sense, and of a certain way of being, perhaps. And also, those are the strands, of course, throughout. But what I also found very interesting was the manner in which it was a certain view of Kannadiga men, of a certain community, from a certain class, that comes across very interestingly. So I was wondering if we could start the conversation with talking about that.
Mm, that way, it wasn't directly about gender, the film. But yes, the fact that there is a complete absence of the feminine. So that kind of became very apparent because I was pretty keen on bringing in a female auto driver and to see how she kind of fits into this whole debate about identity and language. And sadly, there is one female auto driver, but she's a Vishnuvardhan fan, another film actor's fan. So, but yeah, it's a complete absence of the feminine in the public space, which I think I wanted to.
Could you take us a little through the process of making the film? There are two characters, to use the word characters. There's Mahadev, there's Ramanna. And they're very different, as people. I'm wondering how it's a very difficult thing to sort of, because you know that there's someone who speaks really well and that person is, perhaps going to run away with the film. So how do you balance it out between, two characters? Of course, there are many other people in the film also, but you follow these two people throughout.
Yeah, actually for me the film has Ramanna is one, there is Mahadeva, and the third character became the auto stand. The auto stand which had Shankar Nag's image along with the Kannada colors. Yes, for me, yes, the fear was, the worry was actually whether Ramanna would kind of, take the film with him. So how do I kind of balance him out with Mahadeva? In fact, I was hoping to engage Mahadeva also in a conversation and be able to kind of record him talking to the camera because he also had some very lovely stories about Shankar Nag, but he was very shy. So every time, in fact, all those I didn't know if I would be using those sequences where the whole auto is getting done up, but every time I went with my crew and hoping that he would talk, but he never did. But we ended up kind of, just filming the whole doing up of the auto. And then I thought that itself, brought in this quiet into the storytelling, into the narrative. I don't know if it works, but.
Also, the use of graphics, if you could talk a little about that. It keeps coming back. What was playing in your mind when you felt that, okay, this is the right point to, introduce this other layer or this other element, and I'm just wondering, what were you thinking of?
The animations come in at for different reasons. Like in the beginning, I want to bring the animations in because it's to establish the city. And then the second time, I wanted to I guess I got caught in this trap of wanting to give some kind of a brief introduction to who Shankar Nag was. So which is when I kind of brought him in through because I had a problem with access to footage from his films because of various copyright issues. Then I did use VCDs and VCD jackets, designs on VCD jackets to kind of bring him in. Then thirdly, yes, the poem about the city. I think for me it was also my voice. I couldn't, since I haven't used a voiceover in the film, it was bringing that in was also about bringing in my voice and what it is that I want to say about the film and all the questions that I had. So which is when, again, one is, yes, one could kind of go into shots of the city, but then I thought my characters kind of bring in the city. Then how do you kind of go away from it and bring in that quiet, bring in that poetry?
Also, I'm wondering if we can sort of take the conversation a little through, what you're thinking as a filmmaker. When you just sort of embark on the journey to make a film. Now you've obviously made a certain kind of film with a certain kind of thought. If you could take us a little through that, what were you thinking when you started with the film? What was it that you wanted to say? I know it's not cool anymore to say that, but what did you want to say with the film?
Yes, see, initially I was fascinated with the idea of Shankar Nag on windshields of auto rickshaws, because if you've been in the city long enough, it's a very common sight. This was, I think, in about 2006, when the state was celebrating 50 years of existence and of formation. So, which is when I noticed that Shankar Nag had he had gone inside the Karnataka map. And then the auto rickshaw itself, that's when around the city what we saw is come November 1st, which is when the state formation celebrations happen, we saw auto rickshaw processions in the city carrying huge Kannada flags. I saw that Shankar Nag, he was a very, cosmopolitan is a very problematic word, but he was a very, he did many things. He was not just this mainstream actor. He did a lot of theatre, and then he did Malgudi Days in Hindi, and then he had, apparently he had a map for the metro. He visualized the metro that many years ago. He was a man full of ideas, full of things to do. So then I said, it was interesting for me to see, how he is still being remembered along with trying to, with this issue of identity, about, wanting to belong, about what is mine. So it became about how we remember, how we celebrate, why we remember, why we celebrate. So that became my preoccupation. Right. So which is what I wanted to kind of, explore in the film.
And while doing that, it's interesting how identity invariably sort of also ends up being entwined with ideas of masculinity, because for me that kept coming back. I know it's not something you intended, but this whole thing of, hey lady, don't speak to me in English, and this is what a Kannada woman should really look for in a man. It just became very interesting. I'm wondering how it was for you as a woman filmmaker to, or was that, something that came up at all, or was it assumed that it was, you were with a camera, so it was quite all right to be there?
I don't know how other filmmakers feel, but I don't think for me gender came in the way of my relating to the auto drivers, honestly speaking. Maybe experiences have been different, but it didn't. I wasn't self-conscious about it, and right from start, for me it was a very, it was a very equal relationship that that even when I spoke to them or they talked to me, I just felt very equal. Yes, we do talk about, us being coming from a different cultural background, but I don't know, that didn't seem to come in the way for me, and I don't know if they would have shared their experiences any differently if I was a male filmmaker. I don't know.
Also, how did you shoot, those conversations that take place within the auto? Was it something that was done specifically because the camera was there, or were you just following around for days and, would the conversations happen on their own? I'm just wondering.
No, yes. With the Ramanna, with him, this is how I wanted to film him, I have a camera, because he's a faceless, the auto driver is a faceless character. Finally, all you know of him is his voice and what you see sitting behind him. So, so that way, yes, in fact, I have many more conversations with Ramanna right through. These two characters, yes, I kind of planted them and got them in conversation with him. But otherwise, I have also engaged him in many conversations, which I kind of finally didn't put in the film. But yes, the camera was kind of was supposed to kind of record. I kind of take up other commission roles.
Hi, my name is Rakesh. You should really consider this as a layperson's question. But it's probably interesting to remember that he expired almost 23, 24 years ago. And I was probably 4 or 5 then. But as a Kannadiga, he's always been a constant presence, even though I come from a middle class family and so on. And like you already said, the favorite story of middle class Kannadiga is that he was thinking of Metro right then in '84, and if he was there, I don't know when we got Metro and so on. So I think it probably would have been interesting if you had interviewed the people who came at Anant Nag's book launch and see how they related to Shankar Nag, like a different class, related to Shankar Nag then, or was it like a conscious decision just to keep it to the auto drivers?
Yes, I think my story was about the auto drivers. Through my research, yes, I did think that I should talk to Arundhati, that I should talk to Anand Nag, but I didn't even through my research, I didn't talk to them. So I didn't think that, it just had to be about why the auto drivers are remembering him, because he are the ones who are carrying the memory of Shankar Nag. It's not, they are the ones who are kind of carrying it through the city, in the public space. So the rest of the stories didn't kind of matter so much.
And if I can add to that, I think as a filmmaker, it's a very tough line to walk, isn't it? Because you're shooting with someone, it's their story you're telling, somewhere you're not comfortable with what they are saying. So how do you decide to depict it? How do you, what are those editorial choices you make? I'm sure it's something that you sort of dealt with and grappled with constantly through the making of this film.
Right, yes, that's true, that's true. In fact, when Ramanna was nominated president of the language, I had no idea. He hadn't told me. Otherwise, he always called me and told me, come, this is happening. So, but this, and I was like, the crew was in a nearby cafe. And then, on the public address system, I hear that he's being nominated as president. So it was, I didn't know. I just didn't, and then, but then at the same time, when he decided to resign, we had many conversations, on the phone, we had many conversations about why he chose to become, to take on that office. But later on, so I don't know, I don't know if it was through the conversations. I know maybe I should have filmed those conversations with him, which I did not. But later on, when in a few days, when he decided to resign, he called me and said, look, I have decided to resign. So, yeah, so it was. It is, I think, again, like yesterday, I remember there was this point that came up about, how do you, as a documentary filmmaker, how do you draw this line between being an activist and being, trying to say a story. So I think, raise them, that's what you try to negotiate. 2-year breaks,
Can I also ask you about, how you end the film? So we're seeing the auto stand again, but now it's day. It's almost like life is back to usual. There was this little window that was opened up to their lives and their thoughts, and now it's life back to usual.
Yes, because that's how, right? If you're watching an auto, because right through I've kind of gone into the stand and engaged with them, but I think at the end I did want to kind of go into this thing where what is a common sight to all of us? How do you see an auto stand usually? You see it across the road, you're seeing it parked there, somebody comes, takes an auto, goes. So,
we were talking earlier about the making of films and, as a documentary filmmaker or someone who deals in non-fiction, the various questions that you're constantly thinking about, asking yourself and so on. I'm wondering if I can take you through your own practice, the kind of work that you have done in the past. Where do you sort of see yourself? And of course, it's always a journey and it'll change constantly. But if you can just take us through your own personal journey, your own, your movement from, one.
As a documentary?
Yeah.
Okay, in the city. I don't know if the other Yashu and the few other filmmakers who are here will agree with me, but Bangalore distinctly lacks any kind of a documentary film culture, both in terms of making documentaries and viewing. So, then, when you talk about documentaries, it is only about the films division documentaries. They do expect a voiceover, so something like this is still, it does not exist. It does not exist. The language does not exist as a form of filmmaking, as a form of storytelling. So then how do you kind of look to kind of, get funds to make your films? Which has been a huge struggle for me also. It's been a big struggle because to some extent, yes, Bombay is there, Delhi is there. And they seem to have the access to, where so, because of the very small community that does exist in Bangalore also, that has been a huge struggle for us. So I've taken I've taken long breaks but I've taken about 5 years to make this film because right from, I kept taking breaks to kind of, you know, raise the money. So I took 2-year breaks. I mean, one doesn't even know how to kind of put a proposal together to a funding agency. Who do you ask, right? Who do you go to? Unless you know documentary filmmakers in other cities. So yeah, that's been a huge struggle. And then, so then I kind of take up other commission works. Maybe I, you know, and then I make my money from them. And then I put that money in this. So, and now if I want to kind of, showing my films, yes. I mean, there is IHS now, and there are very few spaces. But then if I want to make my money, right? Or if I want to even go to a theater and I say, like, a film like this, you know, it has Auto Drivers, it has Shankar Nag, it has Kannada. So I would think that if I go to a theater, or if I even kind of go to a Nukkad and kind of show it, I should be able to even charge like 5 rupees, 10 rupees, and then make that money, recover that money. But the issue, the problem is also, I mean, as a filmmaker, then you have to, as a documentary filmmaker, you're the creator, you're the distributor, you are kind of taking on all these roles. And that's difficult. I mean, so, you know, I mean, and then at the same time, you're also trying to kind of bridge this gap between, since it's a new form of storytelling in the city, in Bangalore, so you're also trying to bridge that gap between, you know, what the films division kind of a narrative, and, you know, so you're kind of straddling. You're kind of, you know, trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and trying to find that middle path where you will be able to kind of reach a bigger audience, that you will be able to kind of say that maybe I will be able to raise money from the, you know, or from the public.
You know, you talked about audiences, so what kind of a reaction have you got from, you know, the various screenings that you've had?
Well, it's been different. I mean, finally, I remember there was a conversation yesterday that there was about, you know, the, whether, you know, you have an audience in mind. I remember Samira especially saying that, you know, I mean, yeah, you don't think about the audience. Finally, it's about, are you convinced about the kind of story that you're telling, and are you telling the story in the way you want to kind of say it, and are you convinced about the story? And then there are people who will read something or the other. I mean, there is everybody is going to take something away from a film. So for me, that's what is important. So it's been interesting. I'm yet to kind of show it. The plan is to kind of go to auto stands and kind of have screenings there, which I haven't got down into. One doesn't even know yet, but yeah, the auto drivers who are part of the film have seen. Who do you ask, right? Who do you go to? Unless you know.
Thank you so much, Sushma, for sharing your film with us and the conversation.